Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Funmibi here again with another tutorial. In today's video, we'll be making this red satellite fascinator. I got an order recently from Glory. Shout out to Glory. She wanted me to make this beautiful red fascinator for a particular occasion, and I came up with this gorgeous design. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be carrying you guys along in the process, showing you every single thing I did in order to achieve this end result. So if you've been interested in knowing all about this process, please be sure to watch this video to the end. Make sure you do not skip any part. I'm going to be sharing a lot of things, so please try not to skip. Also, if you're not subscribed, please do well to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Okay, as I'm talking right now, please hit the like button. That button helps you to spread my videos to a wider audience, and it also just helps my channel a lot. So please do well to like the video either at this point or as you go along in the tutorial. Now that I've said all of that, let's get straight into today's tutorial. Let's go. Alright guys, so you'll be needing your molded cap. For those that don't know how to make something like this, I'll be sharing a tutorial really soon on the process. You also need a matching color of bias tape. You need your fabric because I chose to cover my own molded cap with fabric. So this is a red velvet fabric. You also need a piece of net, okay, a matching color of net, or if you're going for something, exciting, you can decide to use whichever color of net you want. You also need clips, okay, either your regular clips that you use on your clothes, or you can use binder clips like me. I'm using this piece of or pieces of binder clips. Feel free to use your regular clothing pegs, or you use these binder clips. This is what my own clip looks like. I found that this was what was just close by to me. There was really no reason why I chose to use binder clips. But yeah, you also need your glue of choice. This is my E8000. Feel free to use any glue. I wouldn't recommend hot glue for this particular project, but yeah, that's just my own preference. I prefer to use either E8000, B6000, or UHU glue. You also need your hat wire. That's what I just showed you guys. So the very first step we're going to be doing is joining our hat wire together to form a round shape basically. So I'm just using this my paper tape to just hold the hat wire in place. Okay, your hat wire always comes in a round form. Okay, it's usually rolled together, so you need to first of all cut out the amount of hat wire that you need. For me, I'm working with about 59 inches of hat wire, and then I used my paper tape right here to just join it together. I'm doubling up the tape just to make sure that my wire is properly secured, making sure that it doesn't, I don't lose my round shape at any point as we go along in the tutorial. So once I'm done securing my hat wire, the next thing I'm going to do is to cover the wire, and for this covering I'm making use of my bias tape. I am using a red piece of bias tape, okay, because I'm making a red fascinator. So just for cleanliness and everything looking aesthetically pleasing, make sure that your color scheme stays, they stay in tone with each other. Make sure that you're not doing too much. For this kind of thing now, I can't use a black bias tape because the end result is supposed to be red, right? The black bias tape will spoil things. Okay, so make sure that you're using a matching color of bias tape. Here I'm just going ahead to measure the circumference of my hat wire after joining, and that's just to allow me know the quantity of bias tape that I need. Okay, so I have about 59 inches after joining my hat wire together. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the equal amount of bias tape. So I'm cutting about 60 inches. I just added 1 extra inch of bias tape just for safety, just in case maybe as I'm gluing it onto the hat wire something happens and I need extra fabric. Okay, so just do that, and once that is done, you snip off the required amount of bias tape and then you apply your glue. Here I decided to speed up the process because it's pretty self-explanatory. Apply some glue onto your fabric of choice, either bias tape or whatever fabric you choose to use to cover your hat wire, and then apply it onto the hat wire. So here now I'm just applying my glue onto my bias tape, so watch me as I go along. Also, you need to pay close attention because when it's time to attach the bias tape onto your hat wire, it gets a bit tricky there. So please pay close attention. If you made it up to this point and you haven't liked this video, please hit the like button. Okay, I found that a lot of you guys watch my videos and you don't necessarily hit the like button. It's not enough to just watch my videos. you need to take it further, okay? Take it up a notch by hitting the like button. That way I know that you guys got value from watching my video, and it also helps the algorithm, okay? This algorithm that is like our oga on this YouTube platform, it helps the algorithm just spread our content to a wider audience. So please do well to hit the like button. So you see the way I'm applying the glue, I mean the bias tape onto the hat wire. So you need to first of all place the hat wire like in between the bias tape, and you use your fingers to just press the bias tape together, because if you're familiar with bias tape, it comes like already folded, so it already does half of the job for you. All you need to do is just put your fingers to work and then glue your bias tape together. So just watch the way I'm moving my hands. After applying the glue onto the bias tape, you just put your hat wire in between where that bias tape kind of forms a crease at the center, and then use your fingers to just press the glue together. With all these types of glue, with B6000, E8000, UHU, it's better for you to allow the glue get a bit tacky, okay? If you start to work with the glue when it's still, you know, kind of wet and everything, it doesn't give, okay? So just leave, let's breeze blow the glue a little bit. When it gets tacky, it starts to glue faster. So what I would suggest you do is apply glue up to a certain extent. Maybe when you get to like 20 inches of glue, when you've applied glue onto like 20 inches of fabric, you now start to glue the fabric together. That way the glue would have gotten tacky a little bit, and then gluing your fabric together becomes easier. And just for extra security, after applying the glue, I decided to go in with my binder clips just to hold the fabric in place, to make sure that it stays glued together properly. Like I said, with all these types of glue, getting it to glue together takes a while. So yeah, this is the final result after a few minutes. Okay, it took me about 15 minutes to get this entire thing covered. So this is the end result. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start taking off my binder clips. This way I'm sure that my fabric is going to stay glued together. As you can see, I'm still using my fingers to kind of press onto some areas that were still lifting off, but yeah, eventually I was able to cover the entire thing. So now I've placed my covered hat wire on top of a piece of net. This net is about 1.5 yards, okay? You could have used 1 yard. I think you can get away with using 1 yard of net, okay? But just to be safe, I would suggest you use 1.5 yard of net. That way you don't have any, you know, work incidents, okay? Anyway, so this is how you are going to place the hat wire onto your net, and then you now start to squeeze the net together. I don't know, English fails me with this particular tutorial, so please watch as I go, watch what I'm doing, and replicate it on your own project. Okay, so once you've already secured the center and held the net together, you're now going to sew that net to make sure that it doesn't move. Okay, so I already threaded my needle and thread, okay, and then now what I'm doing is I'm just sewing. Just watch the way I sew, okay? I can't really explain these points. All you need to do is just watch and replicate it on your own project. If you've been enjoying this video so far, if you're getting value, please hit the like button. All right guys, so as you can see, I'm still sewing my net into place. So once I'm done sewing the net, of course, with any form of sewing project, okay, if you are frequent on this channel, you know the number one rule when it comes to sewing. Once you are done sewing, secure your stitch, okay? Secure your stitch, because if you don't secure it, all the work and effort that you've put would probably go to waste, okay? So after doing all of that and sewing and making sure that my net is properly secured, the next thing I did was to secure my stitch. Right guys, so after securing the stitch, the next thing we are going to do is to cut off the excess net. So I just took my scissors and then cut off the excess net at the top of this secured stitch situation. So what we are going to do now is we are going to set this bit of our project aside and move on to the next task. The next task, we are going to be covering up this our molded cap with velvet fabric, okay, or with any fabric of choice. For me, I chose to work with velvet because I just find that velvet has this very lush and just sexy feel to it. So it's just my own personal preference. So with this particular theme, there's a system to it, so please pay close attention. The very first thing we want to do is to apply glue to the edge or to the brim of our cap, and for this bit I'm working with my UHU glue. Personally, I found that from experience, I have different types of glue that I prefer for different types of projects. So for things like this, I would rather use UHU glue, okay? My hot glue would not serve the purpose, and my B6000 or E8000, they could work, but personally, I feel like UHU, it has more it holds better than some of all these other glues. So it's just my own personal preference, okay? Do whatever works for you, but if you just want to do everything I'm doing for this kind of work, I will use my UHU glue. So I'm just applying this my UHU glue onto the brim of my cap. So once that is done, I'm going to now get my velvet fabric. This velvet is about 12 inches by 12 inches. So I'm going to now start placing it over the glue. So I'm working with north, south, east, west, okay? How do I put it now? Secure your fabric in the north, in the south, in the west, and in the east, okay? Then you now start to cover up the other areas, okay? That way it folds over neatly, okay? It doesn't crease at the top. And when I say creasing, I'm going to show you what I mean. So first of all, just secure your fabric using your binder clips or your clothing pegs, and once that is done, you flip the work that you're doing over to just check for crease. And crease is when maybe the fabric is folding over at the top of the cap, or is crinkling. I don't know how to explain it, like it's just squeezing at some point. That's not the end result. We want everything to look very, very smooth on the top of the molded cap, okay? After covering, you want everything to look nice and smooth. And I'm going to turn my fabric over now. I'm going to turn my cap over. I noticed some crease here and there. I removed the peg, adjusted it, and pegged it back, okay? So feel free to make adjustments where necessary. So when you're happy with the final result at the top, when you've seen that everything looks nice and smooth, you can now just leave the pegs on and allow your work dry up. And once it's dry, it will now be time to cut off the excess fabric in the inner part of your molded cap. So what I'm doing here is I'm just replacing the pegs. Once I was done replacing the pegs, I allowed it to sit for a while, and when I saw that it was dry, it was now time for me to cut off the excess fabric. And for cutting off the excess fabric, all you need to do is get either your blade or your scissors to just cut off any excess fabric that you have in the interior of your molded cap, okay? If you've been following this video so far, please hit the like button so I know you're getting value. Also, if you made it up to this point and you're yet to hit that subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button, join the family. I share awesome educative tutorial just like the one you're watching currently on here on my channel, and you're sure to get value from subscribing to this channel. So please subscribe and tap the bell notification right beside the subscribe button. That bell helps you know every single time I post a new tutorial. Thank you very, very much. All right, guys, so now that I'm done cutting off the excess fabric, it will now be time for me to take off my binder clips, okay? This way I am sure that everything is nice and secure. The glue has already, done its work and held the fabric in place for me. So I'm just going to quickly run through this process, remove all the binder clips, and then we'll move on to the next stage in this tutorial. Okay, guys, so after removing the binder clips, all I had to do now was to sew on this my molded cap, my covered molded cap. I'm going to sew it onto this our satellite situation, this round circle that we covered with net fabric. So this is how the sewing goes. I can't really explain it. You're just passing your needle and thread just like I'm doing in this video. I am passing it all around the brim of your molded cap, okay? So when you have gone round, you will now move on to the next stage in this tutorial. At this point, I was having issues with my stitches, so I was making adjustment, but after about 10-15 minutes, I was able to just successfully sew the cap all around, and this is what the final result looks like. After sewing, you just need to grab your blade. For these bits, you can't use your scissors. Even if you're going to use scissors, you need a very tiny scissors, okay? So for me, I worked with blade, so I'm going to use my blade now to cut off the excess net at the center of this my cap, okay? You see that we are making progress in this tutorial. So yeah, we are already getting to the end of the project gradually. All right, guys, so I'm just using my blade now to cut off the excess net. So for these bits, please be very careful so you don't cut yourself and you don't cut through the stitches that you did earlier on. So after taking my sweet little time, okay, making sure that I'm staying very careful, I was able to just cut off all the excess net, and then it was now time to move on to the next stage in this particular project. after cutting off all the excess net, I had to cover up my stitches. You see that the inner part of the cap looks unkept. Okay, we're about to fix that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this my velvet ribbon to just cover up my secrets. Okay, this secret stitch that we did right there, I will just use my velvet ribbon to cover it up, and then all that entails is just using glue. For this bit, you can use your B6000, E8000, or any type of glue you have, but for me, I'm working with this my UHU glue since that was the closest thing to me. So I just applied some of this UHU glue onto the velvet ribbon, and then I placed it onto where those stitches were made, just to cover up the stitching situation and just allow everything look aesthetically pleasing. Okay, you need to keep your work as neat as possible and hide your stitches as much as possible. So right after applying the glue and everything, it was now time for me to just place my glued up velvet ribbon onto the stitches, and this is what that whole process entails. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I know that a lot of you guys like to see everything, so I decided to just show these bits in the tutorial as well, just so you guys get the gist. Okay, so take your time for this bit as well. You can decide to use your Peter, is it Peter charm or something? That I think there's something else they call Peter charm, I don't know, but yeah, feel free to use anything as long as you're able to cover your stitch. Okay, feel free to use your bias tape or any other alternative that you have. So right after doing this, it was now time for me to just cover up the exterior of my cap as well. After doing this, applying glue onto this my velvet ribbon, I also covered up the exterior of this cap using a piece of bias tape. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just first of all tidy up the inner part of the hat, okay, or the fascinator, and then we'll move on to the exterior of the fascinator. Alright guys, so this is the exterior of the fascinator. I used my bias tape just to cover up the brim as well. That part, I don't know, I must have lost a particular footage. I don't know why I can't find it while editing, but yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Apply glue onto your bias tape and apply the bias tape onto the brim of your fascinator. So now that we are done with this, it will now be time for me to clean up the excess glue, because chances are you might have glue stains here and there. And for this bit, for cleaning up the excess glue, what I found that works for me is rubbing alcohol or mentholated spirit. Okay, just apply a bit of spirit onto your cutting pad and then just use it to wipe any excess glue that you see anyway. And this is just for neatness. Okay, I'm very particular about neatness when it comes to any project, either for myself or for a client. Okay, that's why I come here with tips and tricks for you as well when working on projects for yourself or for someone. Okay, so use your mentholated spirits just to clean up any excess glue. So the next thing now would be for us to create our plastic or wrapped plastic headband. This is my wrapped headband. I filmed a separate tutorial on my updated method for wrapping headbands. Okay, I saw a couple of comments here and there on my pages on Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube here, so I'm going to upload that tutorial right after this video, hopefully. Okay, and show you guys how I now wrap my headband. But yeah, after wrapping my headband, I just attached it onto my fascinator, right? And this whole process, you could decide to use glue, but because I don't like to depend on glue, I also went a further step ahead and used my needle and thread to sew my wrapped headband onto my fascinator. And after sewing, I secured my stitch, of course, and then I also applied my fabric flowers onto the top of my fascinator. And that's pretty much it for this particular project. The end result was so beautiful. This is the end result. You can see that this looks absolutely gorgeous. It's perfect for any occasion. You can wear it to church, you can wear it to your wedding party, you can wear it to diverse occasions. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. After doing this, I saw that I still wanted to add some tono to this particular work. I wanted more sparkles, so I decided to add a bit of cup chain onto the brim of my fascinator, and voila guys, this is the end result. If you enjoyed watching, please do well to smash the like button down below. Okay, also if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do well to subscribe, join the family, turn on your post notification, and yeah guys, I can't wait to see you in another tutorial. Bye.